Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now here in my hands, in this box, the newest prototype in the Outer Limitless knife lineup. This is the Divergent Bowie. This is a project that I've been working on literally at this point, probably close to 2 full years. I ordered this literally a year and 2 days ago. Ordered it from a maker in Nepal. It showed up today and I am totally pumped to see this. Now, in today's video, we're gonna go through this in a little bit of detail. I'm gonna start here now, unbox this, then I'm gonna kind of hang around with the knife a little bit and figure out exactly what I want to do with it. I'm not too sure exactly where this is gonna go. I have some suspicions here. I'm kind of curious what I'm gonna bump into and we're gonna talk about it. But with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Now I just want to take a quick minute to remind you guys that I currently have a gear giveaway. For any paying members on my Patreon, you will be eligible. So if you're interested in my gear giveaway, do me a favor and take a look in the description box below where you can get all the relevant links and the details. And so as we get into this, the Divergent Bowie. Now here on the table you can see the Work Tuff Gear Woodscraft Chanto. This is my first design exhibiting what I've really put a good amount of work into, a sculpted handle. Then below that, well, this here, the Work Tuff Gear Carnivore, also leveraging that same handle. And well, the drawing on the table here, the Divergent Bowie. And so as you take a look, you can see it kind of spanned a little bit of a different size right in the middle of the Woodscraft Chanto and the Carnivore. Clip point design, nice big fuller, but all the same sort of style and features from the other knife, including that handle. But you can see here, I started this project back in June of 2021. That's when this was originally drawn in this original hand-drawn sketch here. And I've since provided it to a maker in Nepal, Barun Baraili, who is a well-known maker for his work in kukri houses. He's a kukri maker. And in fact, there are some designs out there that have Barun Baraili's work being done as the manufacturer. Handmade knives, hand-forged, hand-finished, and very, very nice. There's a few people that you may recognize. Like, for example, Dragonfly Kukri and Knives. This here is the Siddha Kukri, also manufactured by Work Tuff Gear. And another designer that you probably recognize, Daniel Murray Lake, who recently had his Hollow King design, which has come out, who is also both makers that have worked with this particular kukri house. So I'm excited to see this today. This is a design that's clearly been in the works for a while. Now, I'm going to be very frank, and I'm also going to try to be very fair. The fact that this took literally a full year to come to me is a little bit maddening. The process was kind of painful. I don't think this is truly going to meet my specifications and standards, but I'm hoping I will be surprised. And if I am, I will admit to, what works and what doesn't work. Now, the reason why it was painful, I had to drive every single little piece of the process, like trying to get the maker to give me updates, trying to get, a status and where are we at and when will things be done. And the communication itself, pretty difficult. Now, I believe that, they are men of their words and trying to keep things moving in the right direction. So as we take a look at this, I'll be very curious to see how this stacks up against the drawing. The second thing is, unfortunately, the very first one that was made incorrectly. And I had to kind of turn it around and say, well, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to make another blade, which they did. So they have honored what I have asked them to do. It's just been a long and drawn out process. But here, ba-boom. Now, the other thing I'm going to say, and this is really a point that I truly don't care about, but I am going to say it is, well, the maker said they were going to throw in a little extra for my frustrations and what we've gone through, and clearly I only see my knife. And this is all I really care about. I didn't need nor care about the extra, but that's just what I'm saying is everything that was told to me was difficult. Everything that was told to me was a frustrating process. And again, this is just another little illustration of why, but at least I have my knife. I'll give you that. And so as I work to get this removed from the packaging, right away you can see beautiful, phenomenally nice craftsmanship on this leather. Real thick, just a real thick welt. Awesome straps over the top. Dual points of retention. The ability to carry this a couple of different ways. A very generous belt loop here. So very nicely done. Let's check the quality of the snaps. Okay. Not too bad. Now these are like, I don't even know what you'd necessarily call these. Kind of more like a button snap. This is not necessarily what we're sort of accustomed to typically here on, in knife design in the United States. They're usually a little bit different, but they seem like they'll be effective. I am a little concerned with the fact that these might not have the best retention if yanked upon, but only testing and time will kind of let us know. So we'll see how that goes. But again, the sheath, absolutely beautiful. Get the knife out here. And you can see open over the top, which is awesome. Ease of getting the knife in. Of course, this knife is going to flare out. So that is a critical step here. But again, beautifully welted. Nice, and I believe these are going to be brass rivets. I feel like these are brass. I can't exactly say for sure, but that's what I believe. But anyway, the sheath looking really nice. Great stitching all the way around. Nice and even. Very nicely done. So far the presentation, I am definitely happy. I like the evenness of the dye. I like the color quite a bit. So far, very good. And now unpackaging the knife. Wow. This is beautiful. This is absolutely gorgeous. What a cool looking knife. I am going to clean up all this oil, as you can see, extremely well oiled. So I'm going to clean this up and we'll go from there. But man, is this sweet. This thing is insane. This is really, really nice. What a beautiful knife. And so now with this all cleaned up, check this out. This thing is pretty sweet. So we have 5160 steel, hand forged. You can see there's still some forged scale in strategic locations, beautifully polished all the way down into what feels to be a nicely done and very sharp, really nicely done convex edge. Generous finger choil, oversized landed hole. Some little style points here, which for me, that's just giving this that kind of, I don't know, warship looking sort of design, just a little bit different. Again, this is the Divergent Bowie. It needs to look a little bit different, act a little different. But right away, what you'll notice is the peak right down here, that secondary point, which is reminiscent of what you saw in the Chanto. Not to say that this is a Tanto, but what I'm saying is this is a hybrid between a Tanto design and a Bowie design, which I haven't quite seen this done, and I just love the lines. You can see here that deflection point right in here, which is again very reminiscent of what we saw in the Chanto. Now it's not quite as pronounced here, and of course this has the coating which kind of covers that up, but a lot of similarities. I'm bringing the design elements through the lineup, and the handle is not exactly the same because of course this was handmade, but at the same time you get the idea. They tried to pull this off. If I gave this to Work Tuff Gear, I know they would get it literally perfect, which maybe I'll do. I guess we'll see. But here you can see nicely pinned. These are actually a two-tone pin, so on the inside they look to be steel or aluminum. Maybe it's aluminum, and then on the outside it's brass. Unfortunately, the larger pins seem to have split, so as they hammered them home, they did kind of split open, or maybe they're just open in the first place. I kind of wish they were either solid, but that does give you some lashing points in combination for lanyard, depending on how you like it. Real thick. Now I spec this to be 5.5 millimeter thick. I feel like this is going to be thicker than that, and that's crazy thick across the top, but awesome. And it tapers down beautifully through the handle into the pommel end, which is also smooth, nice and flush to the tang of the knife. I don't know exactly what wood this is. If I can figure it out, I will annotate below. Looks like they had a little bit of a blowout on the bottom there and glued it back together, which is very misfortunate, but that does happen. I can see it in a couple of spots, so it looks like the handle did crack on them. I'm hoping this is going to be durable enough, but again, that stuff does happen. It's a handmade knife. This is actually a prototype anyway, so I'll give it a little bit of leeway as they work through the process to fine tune it. And the other thing I'm seeing is not only does it taper this way, but you'll notice from the top to the bottom, it tapers down this way. That's awesome. So it fits wonderfully in the hand, fills it out phenomenally. Nice and soft over the top, yet this should be able to do the scraping tasks. I think this is going to get us some fuzz and rip on that ferro rod just fine. I love the overall design, but how does it exactly stack up against my drawing and the specifications? Well, let's take a quick look here. As I match this up, they nailed it. It's almost perfect. It actually lines up very, very well. And I have to say to Barun Baraili, thank you very much for that. I appreciate that about this. That was something that I struggled with the first knife that they made. It did not match up well enough. I really wanted to pull off this design. And if the prototype isn't close enough, then I can't test it for the performance that I want to get out of it. So by making the modifications, at this point, you can see this lines up very, very well. So extremely well done. Couple last little details. Thumb scallops, which I always love for those alternate grips getting on the side of the knife. That is going to index very well. The fact that it's rounded over the top, generous finger guard, so we can do those stabbing tasks, and really thick. Let's check the thickness on this steel, which as we get on it here, is this right? 9.74 millimeters. 9.8 millimeters. So that is 0.38, almost 0.4 inches. This is literally, 0.4. As crazy as it sounds, this is not quite, but almost double the thickness that I specified. That's crazy. So that's a tough thing because that'll definitely impact the performance. It's going to impact the weight. This thing is hefty. In fact, let's get into this here. So I'm going to break out this scale, kick it on here, let the thing zero out, and as we drop it on, this weighing in at 1 pound 9.2 ounces. 1 pound 9.2 ounces. That is crazy. So this thing is over 1.5 pounds. In other words, 25.2 ounces, 714 grams. Again, 1 pound 9.2 ounces. So this is a beast. Now, I might like this. I don't know. I'm going to have to test this to see how I like it. The thin edge might be about right because they hollow ground this, which I'm usually not a fan of a hollow grind, but this is so thick that hollow grind might be sick. And with that big, wide, convex edge going into a hollow grind, and wood is just going to blow apart with this being almost 0.4 inches. This might be a really, really sweet tool. much more so than the way I designed it. And I won't necessarily be able to judge other than how effective will it be at 0.4. Now, even at that, it is very well balanced. I mean, this is very well balanced. I'm going to put it right on that finger choil, and it's pretty much neutrally balanced right there. So in terms of the ability to chop, it is absolutely going to do it. In terms of the overall carving, that's going to be light enough, and it's crazy comfortable. So I have to say, even with the frustrations, I am more than pumped. And so, all right, guys, there you have it. A first look and unboxing and impression of the Divergent Bowie, which I have to say, I'm very happy. So to Barun Baraili, thank you very much. I appreciate your work, man. Very, very nicely done. Now, the only problem is going to be, if you guys want one of these, am I going to have to wait for a year? So Barun Baraili's going to have to speed things up if we're going to get these into people's hands. So if he's watching, got to pay a little bit of attention to the timing on these things. But other than that, again, I got to be a little bit nitpicky. I got to be a little bit hard. But when it all boils down to it, pulled this off wonderfully. Between the knife and the sheath, the gorgeous carry system, I think this is going to work out very well. Now, I'll get into further testing in the future, but so far, for a sheath system, this seems very nice. It's going to be a little cumbersome with all these straps. If you've been watching my channel, you realize I don't usually like a lot of straps on my sheaths, but there's not a lot that we can do about it here. So with the good comes the bad. The shape comes a little bit of geometry issues, but a beautiful, beautiful package all the way around. And so much, much more to come. Thank you guys for following along. I hope you enjoyed that. And to Barun Baraili again, thank you very much. If you guys enjoy this content, do me a favor, take a look at my Outer Limitless 2 channel, which is more on the tactical and firearms side of things. At this point, that channel is growing quickly. I have a ton of videos up there. So if you like what you see here on Outer Limitless, do me a favor and check me out on Outer Limitless 2. So all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.